What's going on, everybody? May the sports be with you. This is BX Sports Jedi Kev of the Sports Jedi Network. We are going to review February 26th TNA Wrestling Thursday night Impact Zone here on the Sports Jedi Network. Before we get all into that, let's give a huge thanks and shout out to our sponsors of the show. We want to thank Dude Wipes. Dude Wipes and the Sports Jedi Network, wiping out the competition. Stay fresh, stay match ready, stay clean. If you text all in capitals, dude, save 20 to 59463. They'll text you back a code. You'll save 20% off your orders. So stay clean and stay dude white. As well as Blackout Coffee, pro-American, pro-Second Amendment. All go to blackoutcoffee.com/rumba and save 20% off. Get the Morning Reaper and get energized, get jolt, get ready to go. Use my personal promo code SportsJedi20 and save more. They have so many good products there at Blackout Coffee, and as well as G Fuel Energy. G Fuel Energy, that is PGA Chris's affiliate. Go to PGA Chris 20 and put that promo code there on G Fuel and save even more. All right, this is TNA Impact Zone from Nashville, Tennessee. Their final taping at Nashville before they go live next week from Atlanta, Georgia. We got to get right into it. Let's go. We had both champions, a rare pleasure to see both champions in the ring, where you had Leon Slater with Mike Santana teaming up, but taking on former tag team champions, the Nemoth brothers, Ryan and Nick Nemoth. This match was a real good match, back and forth. They're telling a story with this match. The story is Mike Santana getting a little distracted and leaving Leon Slater and his tag team partners high and dry, or at least by themselves, to fend for themselves against plunder or 2-on-1, or in the case of Leon Slater, thanks to Moose to neutralize, if you remember in Genesis, the system, and we got number 1-on-1 with Nick Nemoth, where actually Leon Slater pinned them. This time around, we have Eric Young come out and cause a distraction where, of course, Santana does the right thing and try to fend off Eric Young. Remember, Eric Young has a opportunity with a briefcase to cash in on the X Division champion, Leon Slater, for a Call Your match, Call Your Shot, and as well as Nick Nemoth has your Call Your Shot gauntlet trophy, where he could call your shot on any champion. If he wants, he could call a shot on Leon Slater for the X Division champion. He could call on Mike Santana or the International Championship. So interesting there, where Mike Santana tries to fend off Eric Young, where actually Leon Slater was about to set up for the 450, the Swanton 450, where the savvy veteran Nick Nemoth puts his knees up and scores the victory 1-2-3. So if you want to say in the confines of the two times we see Nemoth and Leon Slater, they're 1-1 apiece. You know, Leon has gotten the pin. Last time they were in the tag match. This time around, Nemoth got a pin. So next week in Atlanta was announced for the X Division Championship. You're getting Nick Nemoth versus the one and only, the youngest in charge, Leon Slater. So I cannot wait to see that match next week on the March 5th edition of the Impact Zone in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, one thing I want to talk about, where Mike Santana and his tag team partners, you know, later in the evening, and I'm going to skip a little bit there, where we see Steve Maclin, who was part of the Feast or Fire, and he ended up getting the briefcase that was fired. He's been fired storyline-wise from TNA Wrestling. On his way out, he was given an opportunity to say goodbye to the locker room, and he went and said goodbye to the last person he saw was Mike Santana, and Mike Santana triggered something in Steve Maclin to return, and he just unleashed a physicality of a beating on Mike, where we saw even Steve Maclin didn't get his full pound of flesh. We saw him interfere or come back at the pay-per-view at the PLE with Genesis, where you saw him returning and Mike Santana got preoccupied, which led to Moose coming out and fending away the system and left Nemoth and Leon 1-on-1 at that time again. So there's a story being told where Mike Santana leaves Leon by himself. In that same promo with Steve Maclin with his friend Tom Hannafin, we find out that Hannafin was brought in by Maclin for that job. They're good best friends, where Steve Maclin feels like Santana's selfish. He explains why. He explains that Mike asked to team up, and he was there for Mike as from his inception in TNA. His first opponent got him over, working with him. That mutual respect from his first time, and if you remember in Las Vegas when Mike Santana joined TNA, then of course where he talked about when Mike lost his TNA World Title, where on the hands of the NXTers invaders that came in, and Frankie Kazarian was opportunistic, cashed in, and they were going to team up the following night for No Surrender for the PLE, and he decided not to show up, or showed up late because he had to go to a sorority meeting. He wasn't in a good place, so he called it selfish because he was thinking about only himself. He talked about, Steve Maclin talked about when he was in the WWE, he had an alcohol drinking problem. In WWE, he even talked about no one cared. He would, so a paraphrasing, you got to see the whole interview, which was a pretty good one. And he mentioned that he left him alone to fend for himself. He came in late. He came in eventually, but he was kind of high and dry as a partner. And we see that now with Leon Slater. Now, I mentioned this. Why am I mentioning this? Because Mike Santana, if you're new or you're a novice to the TNA brand, or you're getting reconnected with the TNA brand, because now they're on AMC and now you have more availability to see the product. Mike Santana has a lot of avenues, a lot of slings and arrows heading his way as a world champion, where now there's different stories. One thing that I mentioned to my partner, Chris, we had the honor and privilege to be at Slammiversary in New York City at the UBS Arena. And when we wanted Trick Williams to drop the title to Mike Santana, and when we saw the softball game in Mamaroneck, and we saw how Trick Williams was working with the company outside of the ring and with the kids and the brand ambassadoring and all that stuff, I said, man, I don't think Trick is going to drop this title. Remember saying that Saturday night before we went to the Slammiversary on Sunday. I'm like, I won't be surprised. Lo and behold, we saw what happened. My point was, if Santana would have won that Slammiversary, who was next? What is there? It's all good to finish the story, but if you don't have an opponent to line up after the fact, then we would have not got that Santana chase into Bound for Glory and that whole riding the emotion of Mike Santana to finish his story, because he had to go through an adversity, a hill, a obstacle. So now we could appreciate this Mike Santana's second title run, because there is a lot of competition, competitors. You have Leon Slater, who could actually surrender his X Division title and is considered called Option C and challenge for the world title. And he could get a kind of, I don't call it an upgrade, a lateral move, because I think the X Division title is really important as well as the world title. For all the history and lineage that the X Division title has for that company, I don't call it a secondary or mid card. I can't. I can't call it. You guys could call it if you like it. I think they're right there with the significance in TNA. When you think of TNA, you think of that X Division. So my case in point, I don't see that as a downgrade or an upgrade. I just see he could cash in if he wants that world title, that title if he wants. That's option C. You also have Nick Nemeth. Still has that call your shot gauntlet, where he's looking that he wants that world heavyweight title. When you think of Nick Nemeth, you think of him as a world heavyweight champion. Although, wouldn't mind seeing Nick Nemeth, with what I just finished saying a few seconds ago, the lineage, the prestige that X Division title holds for the men that held it prior to him, and how they elevated that title. Nick Nemeth being an X Division champion doesn't sound too shabby either. And I'm not trying to advocate so my guy Santana doesn't drop the title. No, but I wouldn't mind seeing Nemeth as an X Division champion neither. But my point, he could call your shot, and he's there for Santana, another opponent from Mike Santana. You got Leon, you've got Nemeth. Now you have Steve Maclin, although he's not technically in the company, but Mike wants his hand on him. You saw when Steve Maclin put his gut punch his own friend Tom Hannafin, and Mike Santana, he calls out Santana. He comes rushing out And of course, the security stopping them. And Mike wants to get his hands on the weasel that Steve Maclin has become in a, or you don't do those things to a man. You don't gut punch, you don't sucker punch someone. You fight face to face. You were taught that way. And Mike wants his one-on-one with Steve Maclin, but he's not in the company storyline wise. But my point is that's another competitor, another contender for Mike Santana's world title. You also have Eddie Edwards, who also was able to get that briefcase, and he has a world title contract with the briefcase. He's also lurking around. So you have a lot of avenues for Mike Santana to possibly work with a lot of men for the springtime. Upcoming springtime, I know they're going into Atlanta live. They're going to go to Syracuse, Cleveland, New Orleans at the end of the month of March. So they have a lot of good stuff coming up for Mike Santana and the TNA World Heavyweight title picture. And that's what you want. You want that world title picture to be involved with stories, with many different stories, with many different angles, with many different possibilities. That's what's going to make good episodic television, whether it's taped or live, because you're going to get invested. And that's how people are going to rally behind Mike Santana. Can he overcome this? Is he selfish right now? One thing we heard Mike Santana, when he won the world title his first time, he did it for his family. He did it for his daughter. He did it for his family. Now, the second time, his second world title, he did it for himself. Does that sound a little selfish? You determine. And look, I'm telling you this right now. That's our guy. I wave my flag. I wave my Puerto Rican flag. Those are listening to the audio platform. That's my guy from the Bronx. I'm the Bronx. I don't call myself BX Sports Jedi because I was born in Brooklyn. I'm BX Sports Jedi because I was born in the Bronx, and I'm proud of it. And that's my guy, Mike Santana. He looks like me. He sounds like me. He comes from the areas that I walked before, and that's why I'm a big champion. I relate to Mike Santana, the different struggles, the obstacles, the being told, nothing good comes out of the Bronx. And look where Mike is, world champion, myself, electrician, and now podcasting here and content creator, and have my home and my family and success. It is different, measured in different ways, but I feel like I'm successful and blessed. And coming from the Bronx, where they say the Bronx was burning. Well, it wasn't. If it's burning, I'm burning in success. So that's why I relate to Mike Santana. That's why we relate to him, and we love that for Mike. So I love the fact what TNA is giving us. What TNA is giving us these different world title storylines where it could go any way, and it's intriguing. It's not dull. It's not predictable. It's like, whoa, what's next? So I can't wait to see where that goes. I love the fact that Nick Nemeth and Leon Slater, part of this vortex of the world title picture, has a X Division title contenders with Eric Young. So everything is intertwining and interchanging and connecting tissues. Eric Young with the X Division contract. Nick Nemeth with the call your shot, could be calling the shot. He's going to take on next week Leon Slater. It's not your call your shot. I guess they gave him. Leon wants to go one-on-one, clear the match advantage. They won one apiece, and they're going to go one-on-one to see who's the better winner, and he's going to put his X Division champion there. I mean, Nick Nemeth could possibly have an opportunity to come out as X Division champion, still have your Call Your Shot gauntlet, and cash in on Mike Santana and be a double champion in TNA. I don't know. I don't know too much the history of TNA. I go back as far as 2022 with TNA. I for ignorant reasons, and I've said this many times on different platforms on my channels, for ignorant reasons, and I lived in Orlando where they used to go to my wife's job in Best Buy. My wife used to work in Best Buy, and they used to do the meet and greets all the time in her show. My sons were so lucky and blessed. They got to meet Mickie James, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, when they would do the meet and greets, and actually, because they will use the break room of the employees, and my wife would bring my sons. They were able to go and they were to see them. And me being hot-headed and being WWE moron, because that's what it is, I missed out on meeting these legends, Mickie James. So that's on me. And that's why I say I go back. And I'm willing to admit it. I don't know if there's ever been a double champion, X Division and a world champion. Nick Nemeth could do something here in 2026 where you're like, oh, damn, he could hold two titles. So it'll be interesting to see where they go here in the springtime. Remember, they're going to have a nice, strong spring because I believe they're heading back to Slammiversary at the UBS Arena. It hasn't been officially announced, although Nick Nemeth kind of spilled a little bit of the tea or a little bit of that. They're going back to the Metropolitan area in the summer. So it seems like Slammiversary will be heading back to UBS. Nothing official yet, but I think UBS Arena Slammiversary 2 years in a row. Why not? It was if you have an opportunity this year to go to Slammiversary in New York City. I understand New York could be expensive, all that good stuff. That arena is in Uniondale or the Belmont area. Class, beautiful area. It's not that far from the airports. You know, my recommendation, if you're outside of the country or outside of New York City, I would tell you take a trip. Go for the weekend. Go to Slammiversary. It's worth it. It's worth it. It was worth it. I wish I had the finances. I will go back again this year. Chris, my guy, Chris, PJ's Chris, my partner in the channel, would love to go year 2 to Slammiversary. We could get in. It's just the other stuff, the hotels, the cars. Just right now, you know, hopefully we get a sponsor that will sponsor us to go. We'll go out there and we'll do the show. We'll love that. You know, business inquiry. If anyone can hear that wants to sponsor us to go to Slammiversary hotel, airfare, you know, if you want to sponsor us, Delta Airlines or we even take Frontier. I mean, if they want to sponsor us to go to New York City, why not? A Marriott wants to, or Red Roofing, whatever, wants to sponsor us and get us rooms, we're on it. We'll do it. We'll do a show in your venue, in your hotel, and we'll shout you out. So we're willing to go for Slammiversary in the summer. Hey, I put it out there. You never know. You know, absolutely. Don't forget, we're sponsored by Dude Wipes, and the Sports Jedi Network, working out the competition, and Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. Put our code Sports Jedi 20 and save 20% off. Blackout Coffee, it is pro-American. It's from Florida. Coffee grinds from Florida, shipped to you anywhere across the United States, and good, strong coffee. I recommend the Morning Reaper. You have the 1776 blend. Man, you got to try it. Check it out. Go to blackoutcoffee.com. All right, we'll go to the second match here, where it's some knockouts. This one here, I'm a little confused when it comes to the unlike the World Heavyweight title intertwining with the X Division Championship. The knockouts got me a little bit fuzzy or a little bit confused, and I'll explain right now. Prior to the move to AMC, Danny Luna won an opportunity back in Full Sail, if I'm not mistaken, or in El Paso. And so to become number one contender. She was a number one contender for the Knockouts champion. She was on a collision course for Li Ying Li due to visa issues. And complication, because she is from the United Kingdom. And of course, Leon Slater had the same issues. Jody Threat from Canada has some visa issues. There was quite a lot of talents in the TNA roster that had a lot of visa issues in the beginning of the year, in January, where Danny Luna was supposed to take on Li Ying Li at the pay-per-view Genesis, where we got Zarya instead. Great match with Zarya and Ying Li. Great title defense for the Knockouts champion at that time, Li Ying Li. We get this match here, but Danny Luna is still your number one contenders. Prior to that, they had a battle royal to become who was the number one contender, Knockouts, where it was won by our friend Jody Threat. She's also a number one contender. Throughout that whole slew of different number one contendership that no one got their Knockouts title, Adriana Grace from NXT weaseled her dad to get a TNA Knockouts title match against Ying Li, where Adriana Grace became your Knockouts champion. So it's a lot of confusion. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Who is your number one contender? We don't know yet. They haven't really. We'll find out next week, because according to the reports, we're getting Adriana Grace defending her Knockouts title against Jody Threat. Where does that leave Danny Luna after Danny Luna has a match with Ying Li last night, and she defeats Ying Li? Now, this match was a really good match. Could have been a little bit 5 minutes shorter. I would have enjoyed it a little more. I would have been like, my God, I was fascinated. Doesn't mean it was terrible. It just went 5 minutes a little too long. One thing that kind of, to me, it was questioning was the referee's judgment, the referee's leniency. As Danny Luna goes underneath the apron, Danny Luna's story is she likes to change. She had a match with Indy Hartwell, where they were chained to one another, dog collar chain stuff. She likes her chain. She takes out the chain throughout the middle of the match. I said, is this going to lead to a disqualification? I wouldn't want to see that. Maybe they want to protect Ying Li. She's your former Knockouts champion, and Danny Luna's your number one contender, who they really want to give the victory here to, because you're going to lose Danny Luna's momentum because she's not, So I was very puzzled where they were going to get to this storyline. When the chain was poured out, I was like, oh man, it's going to be a DQ finish. The referee allowed the chain. Normally the referee tries to get the chain out of the ring, not allow the talent to bring it in or warns them, but Danny continues to bring the chain in. She never used it. Never struck none of her opponents. She did wrap it around the top turnbuckle around it, and the referee never went to remove it out of the ring as sometimes a piece of costume falls in the ring and they're quickly to grab it and sweep it out for no tripping issues or safety. I kind of like the referee is very lenient with this chain. It comes into play later on as the referee did not see where Ying Li headbutts or gets tossed crashes face first into the chains on the turnbuckle, and Danny Luna capitalized it with a master German suplex and seals the victory and gets the pin. I got to give credit here where some of the striking kicks from Ying Li, the sleeper, the guillotine that she placed on Danny Luna was sharp. Also, the German suplex, the Blue Thunder Bomb, the power for Danny Luna. Watching her from Subculture, the young lady, and seeing her in such a powerhouse here in TNA now in 2026. I mean, you got to be excited for Danny Luna, the way her growth in the professional wrestling scene. It looks, you could cheer for as a heel to want to continue to strive higher in the knockouts and in TNA wrestling. So a lot of good fortune there for Danny Luna beating the former knockouts champion. I remember I was saying that to our chat when we were watching. I said, my goodness, she would have been knockouts champion if she would have not had visa issues. And I think that's where the direction TNA was going to go. I think Danny Luna was going to be your knockouts champion, defeating Ying Li. I think Ying Li was purposely going to lose that title, not at Genesis, and they gave her that defense over Zarya, and then they incorporated Adriana Grace's title reigns in there. We'll see what time. I see Jody Threat coming up short against, and I love Jody Threat. She shot out the channel, got to interview her in the beginning of the year here, and I would love Jody Threat to be your knockouts champion, but it seems like it's gonna be Adriana Grace going forward. We'll find out. We'll see where that goes there. I thought it was gonna be Danny Luna personally was gonna beat Ying Li and then Indy Hartwell later in the spring to win it, but we'll see where TNA goes, where their direction and their knockouts. One thing for sure, the knockouts are going to get a little more spicier. I'll get to that in a second. Before we get to that, and now it makes sense why, when I watched it and because of the next match, why the referee was so lenient and was very lenient and not getting involved with the chain, and they didn't go with the chain as a submission or a DQ finish because you had a match between Mance Warner and AJ Francis. Now, we saw some bad blood the week before where AJ Francis says that Mance Warner is neutered by his wife, the Statlander. They got into it. We saw Mance Warner break into the locker room where AJ Francis had two ladies in his shoulder, and that went nowhere. They kind of messed up his mojo there with the two women that he was caressing and he was romancing, and they got into battle. So we get a match here finally. AJ Francis immediately attacks Warner as he enters the ring. The bell rings. Mance Warner tosses Francis over the top ropes. Outside the ring, Francis goes face to face to steel stairs. Francis responds by tossing Warner off the steel stairs back first onto the floor. Both contenders trade blow, back and forth they go. Vicious blow, forearm shots, back and forth. And AJ Francis later in the match connects with a Tennessee bionic elbow, pokes him in the eyes and drops him face first into the canvas. Mance Warner goes for the cover, but only gets a count of two. Francis fires back with the TLF for a 2 count of his own. Francis brings the steel chair into the ring, but Steph DeLander attempts to interfere. The steel chairs ends up in the hands of Mance Warner, and Mance Warner repeatedly smashed Francis in the back results in a disqualification. One thing I got to say here, I was saying this to the chat. This needs to be a last man standing or a street fight, whatever you want to call it, some type of no disqualification between these two. It has to be on a pay-per-view because someone's going to bleed. One thing I want to give a lot of credit to AJ Francis and TNA. He is booked the best in any wrestling company besides Reality of Wrestling. I think Reality of Wrestling, you got to see some of the Reality of Wrestling bookings of AJ Francis. I think they're doing something great down there in Texas. But AJ Francis, he's being booked better than anything we saw in the WWE. And that includes his Hit Row. AJ Francis is being booked like the big man, strong, powerhouse heel that he is. I go back to that street fight in Pittsburgh against Mike Santana. Hell of a match. Some even working with the little guys like, Rich Swann, who's a world champion. I mean, my goodness, that's a world champion athlete. But his work with Moose, these two guys, AJ Francis has done so much improving in TNA. And I think that was always in him. I think it's being more accentuated in TNA. And with more television time, you're seeing more of AJ Francis flourish. I hope he signed a nice deal with TNA. I hope he stays longer because this is AJ Francis. We're not going to tell you when not to take money. How dare we? But man, this TNA seems like it's your home. Seriously, TNA seems like it's your home. You're going to get more television time. You tend to be loved by management there. My goodness, I hope they show him the right amount of digits to stay and feed and eat from TNA because this guy is great. And I told this and I say this many times. The minute that man came from GCW and he announced himself as a Southern Psycho and comes in with Statlander, I've been a fan of Mance Warner. I don't like the plunder type of matches and all that nonsense. I love Mance Warner. I think this guy, my goodness, he is like this Chainsaw Charlie gimmick, wrapped up with just a combination of that hardcore maniac, Southern maniac. I loved it for Mance Warner. I like the fact that it's Statlander. I like what he's about. I love the fact that he got cheered. He was working as a babyface in Nashville, which was kind of weird. This guy screams heel all the way, but if you people, hey, they're cheering him is because they admire his craziness, if that makes sense. So I can't wait to see the rematch. Hopefully the stipulation, no disqualification, last man standing. Give me something with these guys going forward that I want to see on a pay-per-view. I don't know if they'll run it back in Atlanta on television because someone's going to bleed. Plain and simple, someone's going to bleed. Someone's going to get cut. Or maybe even both men are going to bleed. I want to see it in a pay-per-view. Hopefully they'll save it for that. We'll see. I don't know how long they could keep these people apart. Who knows? But I can't wait to see these two guys go at it. We get a knockouts match. It's just a grudge match. Total grudge match because we've seen these two ladies in mixed tag match. You've seen that she's implicated in part of the feud with Elias and Order 4. The newcomer, Jada Stone, if you saw, speaking of that Pittsburgh card where Mike Santana took on AJ Francis, Jada Stone had a match back then at that time with Mila Moore, and both ladies were so impressive in their dark match that both TNA signed them both on the spot there because that's how well they worked, Jada Stone and Mila Moore. And now fast forward here with Jada Stone one-on-one against a former Knockouts champion in Tasha Steelz. We'll pick it up here with Jada Stone kicks out of a 2 count. Jada Stone and Steelz trade back-to-back roll-ups attempts until Stone connects with a super kick. She steps on the gas and drops Tasha in with a sling blade. Not a bad sling blade. It's not the sharpest, of course, but of course she's effective. Stone goes for the cover, but Tasha kicks out. Steelz catches up with Jada and lands a German suplex before going for a cutter. And I love the way Jada blocks the cutter. Very innovative of offense. I've said this time and time again. She's a female version. Hopefully, fully innovative on offense and successful like a Rich Swann. Jada did a handstand to counter the cutter. and she picks up the victory on that. My goodness, I was like, wow, good job there. She's like a little engine that could. She is that little energy that could. And if you need energy, like a Jada Stone, make sure you get G Fuel energy drink. Go to gfuelenergy.com. Put the promo code PGA Chris 20 and save 20% off. That's G Fuel Energy, and be a master energy drink and a spark plug like Jada Stone. I mean, she is just so much of energy. She was trying to leave the ring. The good hands corner her and kind of pushes her back in, intimidating her to get back in the wrestling in the ring, and boom, out of nowhere. Then now Tasha Steelz gets her with the cutter and starts beating her down afterward. The aftermatch beatdown for Jada Stone. To me, that to be continued. We'll love to see Jada Stone and Tasha Steelz possibly in the candlestick match. Candlestick on a pole match with these two ladies for a blow-off match between these two. We already got Elijah and Mustafa. They finished their feud. Wouldn't mind to see Jada and Tasha one more match to just finish their feud on, and before they move on to other ladies going forward here. Before we get to the main event of TNA, so far, I'm telling you, those 2 hours of TNA go so smooth. Even with and one thing I got to give TNA a lot of flowers, their placement of commercials. Unlike, again, and it's not a competition, but unlike Monday Night Raw or SmackDown, they place their commercials in the right time. Rarely do you get them in the middle of a match or on a big spot. They do this when the match is over. They go to the commercial breaks. You don't miss it. You stay invested with the wrestling matches. You stay invested with what's going on your television. Then they come back with promos or vignettes in the back or so forth. I really enjoy it because I watch TNA 2 times. I watch it when we do the watch along on our channel, and please join us on our watch alongs here on Sports Jedi Network on Rumble. If you could see, you actually see TNA with us on Rumble or on the YouTube on our normal platform, like it's a normal watch along on YouTube. You watch it and we'll react together in the chat and we talk about it. I normally do it on the TNA Plus app. I really like the TNA Plus app to watch, and then I sit down and watch it in AMC to see compare and see what's the difference, because I have it on my DVR and I check a look at it. I usually watch that afterwards, what I miss, but they still place the commercials in the right time. I always stay invested. I'm not looking to change or run to the remote or look for something. It's just a great way of ad placement. I wish the other wrestling companies will do it. All Elite Wrestling, at least they give you picture in picture and you stay with it at times with it. I could give All Elite Wrestling their props and their flowers. WWE does atrocious. Monday Night Raw is atrocious. It's the worst. When it comes to their commercial placements, their ad placements and matches, they're the worst. I could tolerate SmackDown because it's network television and you get it. And NXT as well because it's CW, it's network television. But the streaming platform and Netflix, I can't stand. I'll be honest with you. I can't stand it watching with the American feed, Netflix. I hate it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm brutally honest with you. We watch it the international feed because I stay with it. Even that gets annoying because they go to black because they give you that 3-second pause when they were switching over, and even though they stay with it, you have a black screen for 3 seconds and it's annoying. I detest the Netflix watch with Raw. I'm going to be honest with you. First time I say it out loud. Yeah, but TNA does a good job. Let's stick with TNA because we're reviewing TNA here. WWE could get their own lashes on another time, not at TNA's expense. But they do a good job there. We get to the main event. Before the main event, we see Carlos Silva, Tommy Dreamer, with a contract for Alicia Edwards. Alicia Edwards, they offer her a contract to stay. We all know she's leaving, or her contract is up. She tells them thank you, but no thank you. I think I'm going to have to decline. In comes Moose. Moose convinces Alicia Edwards to stay. This is her home. She is TNA, and TNA is her. And you know what? You know something? You don't want to know something? She's going to stay. And she's going to stay as Moose's manager. To be continued. Remember, she is the wife of Eddie Edwards, who's feuding. House divided does not stand. Remember that. No matter what, a house divided does not stand. So Interesting to see where that goes later down the road. We get to the main event, the system, all 4 members taking on the Hardys and the Righteous. Can they coexist? That is the question. Righteous and Hardys for that match. They did. Back and forth, a real good match there. Not much action for Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, who's been publicly saying he has a little bit of a neck issue here and there, works a little different. Didn't do so much wrestling in this match. It felt more like Vincent. I like the back and forth. The big boys go at it. Bear Brunson and Dutch colliding in the ring. That was a good spot there. We saw that as well with Agent Zero, the pay-per-view. But I want to go right into that. Brunson colliding and trading blows back and forth. Dutch attempts a twist of fate. Brunson avoids it. Dutch instead drops him with an overhead invert, giving Brunson the opening to slam Vincent down with a choke bomb and for a cover. Back and forth they went. This is where we'll go to the wrap-up part where all the different plunder. As Bear Brunson gets hit by a twist of fate. Cedric interferes but gets met with death walk by Dutch. And then Edwards returns to the ring and sends Dutch over the ropes. Matt Hardy attempts a twist of fate, but Edwards counters it with a blue thunder bomb. And then Vincent shoves Matt Hardy out of the way as Eddie Edwards hits him with the Boston Knee Party, and Edwards gets the victory on Vincent, who sacrificed himself. And the winners are the system. After the match there, we get Moose comes out. He gets to attacking the system. The numbers game, they beat up Moose. Out comes Alicia Edwards, where Eddie Edwards is telling her to move, and she will not. She's laying on her client. Remember what I said, house divided does not stand. Later down the road, we'll see where Alicia Edwards' truest tensions are when you know you're getting a one-on-one with Eddie Edwards and Moose at some point. That's where we're going to see Alicia Edwards' intentions, if she's going to stay with her husband or her new client, a new meal ticket. When any meal ticket, money, manager, money, and opportunity for Moose to rise in the NXT back to glory, but under the tutelage of Alicia Edwards stable. We'll find out how that was. We'll find out where that goes going forward. Next week, Moose takes on Cedric Alexander in a street fight. You got Adriana Grace versus Jody Threat for the Knockouts title. Mara Sade versus Elena Black. We didn't see them on the show last night, but they're having a one-on-one. And one thing that I wanted to talk about was the Knockouts getting a Hall of Famer back. Mickey James calls out Ash by Elegance. I left that for the end because I wanted to elaborate about that. I love that Mickey James comes out. We get the concierge interrupting, calls out Ash, but he tells her, get your toupee face out of here. Get your toupee self out. I need to speak to Ashley. Ashley gets in the middle of the ring. I got to give credit is due. Ash held off well. The promos back and forth between ladies were really good. There was a lot of truth to it. Did not know that Mickey James called up Tommy Dreamer for the opportunity for Ash to work there, unless if it's something storyline related, whatever the case is. It's still, you could see that because of their association and working together at Busted Open Radio. So you could see there's a friendship, a kinship between them. You could see that happening. I could pretty much see that. I could see that she's lost herself when she talks about Ash leaving the ring. What was the injury? Kind of feels like something selfish along the lines. I don't know. But I know that Mickey James says she dropped her Knockouts title, left it there, and she wants her title back. So are we getting Mickey James back as a one-off against Ash? Or is she sticking around? Personally, I would love to see Mickey James stay in TNA for 3 to 6 months. And I'll explain in a second. Because we see where in the back, you see her son Donovan with Jody Threat babysitting, and now the Elegance brand harassing. Mickey James goes for a beeline to her son, like any mother would. Before she gets to the back at the top of the ramp, the Elegance brands attacks her. They're attacking her and beating her up, where it leaves the opening where Mickey James is possibly going to take on Ash. When? Don't know if it's going to happen. It's going to happen either in Atlanta, Georgia, or at the PLE in New Orleans. I want Mickey James for a 6 to 3 month run, whatever her schedule, because I know she's been more devoted as a mom with Nick Aldis duties in SmackDown and running around with WWE and running every Friday all over the world, all over Europe. She kind of put a little bit of a pause on her wrestling career, or kind of semi-retired. For her, she already have accomplished so much. It will benefit TNA to have a Hall of Famer on their brand. The reason why they need her as a Hall of Famer in her brand to help the prestige of the knockout division, with history in that company. Jazz is no longer there. Jazz is on her way now as an NXT coach. Mickey James as an in-ring TNA Hall of Famer, Knockouts Hall of Famer, will benefit women like Maggie, Heather, Mila Moore, even Elena Black, Mara Sade, because it's just going to benefit with the professionalism, the conduct. You're gonna say, but they have Ash. I think Ash is still carving out and wants to see who she is outside the WWE, where Mickey James already has established who she is. She's a Hall of Famer with TNA, and she should be in the WWE Hall of Fame if you ask me. But nevertheless, she's a Hall of Fame talent, where Ash is trying to carve out her niche and want to know who she is in TNA, and she doesn't have time to put over or help elevate the TNA locker room. And if they want to compete with the NXT ladies and to that notch, they need Mickey James as an in-ring competitor for 3 to 6 months. If she wants to stick on as a coach, we'll love that. Head of female creative for TNA will be great. But as an in-ring for 3 months, we'll love that too. Until the Slammiversary will benefit TNA in so many ways. Again, they have a lot. Holly Hudson, Molly Grace. If they bring in Vicious Vicky, they bring in Ruthie J, and they have those knockouts in there, and they have what women's wrestling inspiring, what hardcore country has done, reinventing itself away from the WWE and making a name in the knockouts division. Now that they're not with Gail Kim is not with the company, and I don't know if Awesome Kong is doing anything, and Mickey James is the closest thing, for her successful LFG. And in-ring, I think will benefit. If I'm Carlos Silva and I'm Anthem and I'm the rest, I'm trying to keep Mickey James on as that bridge. And something I'm going to put similar to where we saw Scott D'Amore do that with Bully Ray. Like him or not, with Bully Ray, bringing him in, help breathe down the neck on Josh Alexander and help him be there and his interaction with Jordan Grace and all that. All you hear is positivity for what Bully brought to the company. I think Mickey James, you don't have to throw her out there every week on television, but she's there. I kind of would like to see that for going forward. And that's going to be nothing but a benefit for TNA, for the Knockouts division. You could still have your collaboration with NXT, but now you have Mickey James. Mickey James could also do that crossover back to TNA, to NXT. I'm pretty sure she mentioned it herself when she was on the radio. Would love to do a program with Fallon Henley. I mean, I would love to see Fallon Henley and Mickey James. Well, give me that for Stand and Deliver. Would love that. My goodness, that'd be something. That's something that I would love to see. Some sort of the lines of some sort of stuff like that. I would love to see where that goes. But all in all, TNA last night was a really good show. 2 hours go by so quickly. This was, if you want to give it a letter grade, I give it a B+, A-. If you want to go from 1 through 5, this is 4. There was nothing there that was made that was like, oh, that didn't make sense. Or I'm head scratching. Everything led me to want to watch next week. Also, stories are being told where you're not going to get the payoff next week. You have to. You're seeing the summer or the spring being mapped out for you from TNA Wrestling. The next weeks of the spring approaching us is being mapped out with TNA right now, with the storytelling, where avenues, what venues, which way this story goes, which way that goes, where that goes, and we don't even have next week we're getting a fatal 4-way for number 1 contenders for the tag team titles. You got Sinner and Saints. You got the combination of BD and Rich Swann. You got the Righteous, and you got the System. Eddie Edwards and I believe Bear Brunson are going to be part of that tag team fatal 4-way for number 1 contenders against the Hardys. So that's even starting to map itself out. We got Trey Miguel with the international title we didn't see last night, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be contenders stepping up. Maybe he'll do some runs with NXT where there's someone from back and forth, and he could be the one going back and forth to NXT to TNA and so forth. So TNA is doing a great job there. For those who don't like the fact that NXT Wrestlers has a title right now, you're seeing the TNA Knockouts title on NXT television on Tuesday nights. But now it makes you, and if they're doing this type of storytelling in TNA right now, and you see the title in NXT and you're getting viewers, TNA, let me check it out, and they're giving you that kind of connective tissue storytelling, they're going to grow their numbers. And you see the numbers there. We heard it here on our channel. We had the privilege and honor to interview Carlos Silva back in the summer. He told us he likes to run a company with small-term goals, 3-month goals, 6-month goals, 9-month goals, and see where they're at and strive to hit those goals. And TNA's done that. They're on their second. They're going to be their second month on AMC now, and you see the numbers grow. You see the numbers grow on their ratings. They're growing. Last week they took a little bit of a drop. They dropped 20,000, 25,000, but it's still in the 200s. They started off at 173. They got to two and some change, and they went down to 230. So they're growing. You see the growth. You see the people's interest that wants to see this product and this company. And if they keep doing this here, storytelling, creative, good matches as well, good in-ring, they're going to continue to grow, and all roads leads to Slammiversary. We will see where it goes, and Bound for Glory, and a hot opportunity for TNA here in the spring. And literally we could use it because just like your outside weather in the Northeast, cold, frigid, so is the WWE and at times AEW. TNA is starting to warm things up where WWE is frigid right now. So with that said, I am BX Sports Jedi Kev. I want to thank all the people that help us collaborate, all the collaborations from Wrestle Soup and Friendos, Jeff Littman. Thank you so much. This is probably going to go out to the audio platform on Wrestle Soups and Friendos for your audio viewing. Hit that 5-star like, share. Even if it's for the Wrestling Soup and Friendos, because they open the doors to not just me, to many other different podcasters to bring their audio platform in their service, in their collaboration, and opening up the doors so we could come together as a wrestling community. So I want to give them credit. I wanted to give them a lot of love for Wrestle Soup and Friendos, especially Jeff Littman, who's been class act. As Marie Shadows from the Square Circle podcast. Thank you so much, Marie. Also a real good friend. Don't forget PGA Chris TV and the Cross Body Sports, my partner on his channel as well as the PUWF, the podcast for unappreciative wrestling fans. The NXT Time with D-Walk, Alex Roquito, Rican Reactions. Thank you so much, man. Don't forget Midfit Nation, the friend of ours of the program that always has our back and our support. Midfit Nations, thank you so much. And Aaron Loves Wrestling, who's a good friend who watches us and helps us. We collaborate time to time. And look, if you're listening and you would love to collaborate with us, we would love to collaborate with everyone from Wrestling Soup and Friendos, whether it's on the audio, video platform. Come on over, or you can reach me out at sportsjedi@gmail.com. I don't bite. You can send me my DMs. We'll conversate. We'll collaborate. Always want to have some conversations, with everyone. Don't forget also from the Hello Media, the TCP podcast, Samuel Lyons. Yes, I wanted to give him a shout out as well. Thank you there as well. And everyone that's listening, thank you so much for listening, watching us, and all different platforms. We appreciate you guys. We love TNA. We've been watching it for years, and we're excited. So don't forget, hit that promo code if you want to save 20% off on Dude Wipes. Do capital letters, dudes, save 20 to 59463. They'll send you a promo code. You could use it on anyone if you want to, on Amazon. If you go to Kroger or Walmart.com, whatever, you put that promo code on checkout, you save. Save on Dude Wipes from all the different brands. They partner with WWE now as well. So don't forget as well. So you could save as well. So we'll see you guys next time here. May the sports be with you. We'll see you guys next time here, next Thursday, for our TNA wrap up here with the Sports Jedi Network.
This is Sports Jedi Network, the fan-powered, creator-driven home for wrestling, combat sports, and major New York sports talk. Hosted by BX Sports Jedi Kevin, your rapid-fire, high-energy commentator, alongside a crew of passionate young men and ladies bringing the heat every single show. We cover it all: watch-alongs, live reactions, recaps, interviews, and debates from WWE, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW, Dynamite, TNA, Thursday Night Impact Zone and specials. UFC Time with Austin. Plus full coverage of New York sports talk. And yes, we tap into the galaxies of Star Wars plus the worlds of Marvel and DC. Breaking news, rumors, fantasy booking, hot take debates, plus major collaborations with PGH Chris TV Production Wrestling Soup and Friendos, Garden of Thought, PUWF Podcast, Hello Media of the Samuel Lyon TCP Podcast Group. We're fast-paced, we're interactive, we're built for live chat energy and real fan community. Our mission? Real-time reactions, honest takes, humor, interviews, and energy every single show. This isn't just coverage, this is community, this is combat, this is culture. That's Sports Jedi Network. May the sports be with you.